Alright, good morning, welcome back to the channel. It's a flipping cold Friday morning. I think it's about 5 degrees, but it's sunny and it's dry. And we had a great day yesterday with John at the NEC live motorbike event. Really good. Just watched a separate video on that. So today I'm off for a couple of one test ride for sure. I'm off to test ride the Indian FTR 1200, and I'm hoping that there might be a chance that they can find me a Kawasaki H2 SX SE as part of my continued journey of finding my next bike. After hearing from KTM yesterday that the new model of this, which will be the 1401cc Gen 3 bike, is definitely not going to be a 2024 bike. If anything, it'll be a 2025 bike. So this is 3.5 years old. I didn't want to keep this to 4.5 years, so it's swaying towards a final decision. Not there yet. Depends on whether I can actually find a bike that's going to replace this and do everything that this can do and more, which is a tall order because this is one awesome bike. I've had lots of good memories and good times on this. So yeah, so off we pop. Let's go and see what this Indian FTR is all about. Always wanted to ride it. Catch you in a bit. Okay, here we are. This is the 2023 Indian FTR 1200 Sport. Isn't it a looker? Isn't it a looker? It's gorgeous in the flesh. I saw it yesterday at the NEC, but in the bright sunshine, yeah, it pops. Loving the exhaust. So Brembo's on the front, 180 55 tie on the back, 120 as usual on the front, both 17-inch. This is the Sport, so it doesn't have the O-rings that the Carbon has. It's clutched gear up and down, so there's no auto blipper or quick shifter. This is in sport mode, and in sport mode there's no ABS. In sport mode, there's no wheelie control. So yeah, quite basic, but I think it's here just to get on, ride and have fun. Yeah, so let's just do that. Let's get on and ride and see what this bike's like. Okay, right, well I went and installed the bike, and they had to come out and just jump start the bike with another battery, so take two. Anyway, back on the bike, let's see what this thing's like. First impressions, I don't know what you think about this display, but isn't that pretty cool? You can change it, you can swipe it, obviously not with these gloves, to a more classic one. So yeah, so this is the FTR 1200 Sport from Indian. Couple of things just to share with you in terms of spec. You'll find it all online anyway, but this is about 120 horsepower, I think it's about 117 newton meters on a V-twin. It doesn't have a quick shifter and auto blipper. It's a bike built to just get out and ride and have a bit of raw riding. Feels very short, although it is a longish bike. It feels short at the front, obviously. It feels like how do I put it? It's like a hybrid between a naked and a cruiser. This has got the nice sort of racing decals and panels on with the reflecting the racing heritage of the bike. In fact, this bike, FTR, stands for flat track racing, sort of the American equivalent of our Speedway. And another known fact is that the FTR has been going longer than the Harley Davidson brand. The Indian company and the bikes started in 1901, and 2 years later in 1903 Harley Davidson set up. So whilst Harley Davidson's been going for many more years because it's had a continuous sort of production, Indian did get into financial difficulties in the 40s, I believe, so it sort of had a few sort of failed restarts. famous in the 60s, for those who have seen the film, and if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. The fastest Indian in the world, where the Indian motorbike on the Salt Lakes, I think, obviously highly modified, sort of, I think it was like had a monocoque sort of shield around it, just looked like a bullet really. Broke the world speed record of 205 mile an hour. So yeah, a little bit of heritage, which I think is what the brand try to play on here. Aesthetically, I think it's a beautiful bike. Mirrors, yeah, pretty basic, round, so I'm not quite sure I like that, but I think it goes with the style of the bike. But I can see everything nice and high up, so the view's not compromised with your elbows. It feels really well behaved at what I'm doing. 30 mile an hour, second gear, 30 mile an hour. It feels actually smoother than my KTM V2M, which is a pleasant surprise. So yeah, so very good manners, nice and easy at slow speeds, just tootling along. I haven't got the bike for long. I haven't got it for a day or multiple hours. I've only got it for an hour or so, so it's a relatively short review, and I need to decide whether this is something which is potentially an alternate to the other bikes I'm considering when I change the GT, if I change the GT. But as I said before, the new model isn't coming out until 2025, so that's, my bike is getting into its 5th year then, and that'll be, it's too old then for what I like. I don't like, I like to have a bike that I can be confident in, that it's come on, it's your turn. Who's going first? Yeah, that I can do big miles on. I want to do a lot of touring, as we've done this year. We haven't done much miles this year. I think we've done about 5,000-6,000 miles this year on the GT. 3.5, 4 of that was in the European trip. So I want to continue doing sort of decent mileage, and I don't want to rack it up too high. But this, yeah, I think this is on a relatively long list. I'm not sure it's on a short list for me, because I'm not sure how versatile it is. I think it's not the sort of bike that I'd go touring on. I think it's definitely the sort of bike I could go and do a long weekend on. But we'll see. I've only just got on the bike, only been on it a couple of miles. Ergonomically, it feels nice. Relatively wide handlebars, good height position for me, feel natural. The switch gear is pretty basic. It's got does have cruise control. It's not adaptive, of course. Usual layout here with the sort of horn indicators, etc. This one here shifts through the menus, as you can see there, the screen changing through the different modes. There you go, there's something which is really cool. It has integrated sat nav on the screen. There you go. Why can't all bikes do that where they have a TFT? The Ducati I'm looking at has got it, but it's like you got to link your phone, and it's a bit problematic, I've heard. The GS Max got a good one, but why do we need to have separate sat-nav systems? Why can't it all be integrated like this? I don't know how good the routing is, but that's pretty cool. I like that. The riding position's pretty neutral. I'm in sport mode, but the mapping on the throttle is nice and smooth and progressive. It's not snappy. The guy said it can snap a little bit in sport. Not sensing that at all. In fact, if anything, it feels an awful lot smoother and silkier than the GT. Suspension wise, as I said, this is the Sport, so this doesn't have the Öhlins. It is adjustable on the front and rear, but it's manually adjusted. Once you've set it, and that's the same on the Carbon. I think it's got something like a 13 litre tank. So yeah, that's going to get you, I would assume, 100, 150 miles. But you know what, I'm actually quite enjoying this. The seat arrangement's nice. It's quite, whoa, look at that Mark II Escort, that looked good. It's nice and wide at the back of the seat, but at the front it narrows off, which is really cool for moving around on the bike. In terms of my knees, they're tucked in nicely. It's not a well contoured tank, but I can grip on it quite nicely. Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. Yeah, it pulls nicely. pulls nicely. Let's get back into the standard, so third gear, back into the standard display. Which way should I go? Left is to the M6, so I'll go that way. It's only a short run, I'm only doing about 15-20 miles on it with a bit of motorway, so I'll see what's like on the motorway. Turn in. Yeah, sort of, that didn't feel too nice, that turn. It felt as if it was fighting me a little bit. I was pushing on the left hand handlebar and it seemed to sort of want to push back at me quite a bit, more so than I was expecting. Obviously I've got the 890 Duke R, which is just like a razor. Although the sad news is I'm selling it and it goes tomorrow. Oh dear me, we'll talk about that another time. Let's see us like on some twistier roads if we can find a few. The exhaust isn't too in your face. Let's throw a left here, go towards Apley Bridge. Bumpy road, but yeah, suspension, even though it's standard suspension, soaked it up quite nicely there. Doesn't have that mid-range grunt that the 1290 GT has. I was expecting a little bit more than that. Bear in mind this is still a big 1200 V-twin. It's obviously down to the tuning and the internals. Obviously it's pretty much the same displacement, same arrangements as the KTM. The KTM's got 170 horsepower, this is 120. KTM's got 144 newtons of torque, this has got 117. So it's surprising how the tuning of an engine differs dramatically from a bike and an engine of a similar displacement and configuration. It does have ABS this, but doesn't have cornering ABS, so as I said, it's a pretty basic setup. But yeah, you know, when it's moving, it sort of, it feels quite light. It sort of, it was only when the slow manoeuvres, the slow turns back there, that I felt the weight of the bike on the front a little bit. I don't think it's a particularly heavy bike. I think it's lighter than the GT. I'll just actually put the weight up on the screen when I do the edit. Again, no auto blipper, downshifter, so using a clutch, quite a novel thing these days. Let's throw a left here. Nice doggies. The sun's really low today, thank God. I've got the sun visor. Just taking it easy today. It is extremely cold and it looks like this has got brand new tyres on it. This I don't think it's got many miles. I'll have a look in a second. Let's give it some. Brakes, yeah, a little woody, to be honest with you. I haven't warmed them up properly though. It's a fourth, it's a fifth. Put the brakes on. Yeah, they do stop. Yeah, they do stop. They do stop. I think it's just the feel rather than the function. What's the back brake like? Any? Oh, that's quite good. I like that. Hey, on the GT, the rear brake's crap. It really is. It's sort of like you press the pedal and it's as if they got like a paintbrush against the disc. It's just doesn't do much at all. You feel it when you're coming downhill and you just want to sit the bike up a little bit, but it doesn't really slow the bike down. Tank feels very low. It sort of feels sort of height-wise as if it's mid-thigh height. Sorry, strange thing, strange feel, but yeah, ergonomically it's very different to any bike I've ridden so far. Let's have another look at these. Yeah, 23 miles per gallon. That's not very good, is it? Outside temperature 8 degrees. Engine temperature 80. It looks like you can track your ride. There's the whoops. Oh, that's not very good. Not very. That's disappointing. I would have liked that to have been more sensitive to these gloves. And this is in the dry, so when it's raining and you're out, that's going to be pretty much in the display that you or the setup that you set it up before you head off. Key entry, both the ignition and fuel cap, so no keyless entry. As I said, technology wise there's not much on this. You've got your basics, as I said, your ABS and your anti-wheelie, which, as I said, comes off if you're in sport mode, which I am at the moment. So you've got rain, road and sport. That exhaust sounds nice though. Pops away on overrun, which is cool. So this is retailing around the 14,000 mark. Again, I'll put the price up on the screen. I think there's an offer on at the moment, £1,000, which when you look at the carbon setup, which has your roll-ins on, I think there's only like a £2 difference in the price of the bike. 1,500 or I think 1,800 it was, I think the guy at the NEC was saying. But when you take into account the £1,000 voucher, you know, you're looking at this bike, which is the Sport, upgrading to the carbon for 800 quid. You obviously get all the cosmetic and aesthetical upgrades, but you get that Olin setup, which is got to be worth it. So that would be the one to go for sure. I miss the quick shifter. The auto blipper you can sort of get by with, but I think we're just all accustomed, aren't we, these days? Tell me if you're not, but we're all accustomed to the quick shifter on bikes. You know, this is not an old bike, this is a 2023 model. Quick shifters have been out for 10 years. I can guess, you know, that they've sat on the board table and said, oh, we want to keep this bike pure and, you know, blah blah blah, keep it, you know, in keeping with the heritage and history of the brand, so we don't want to be a high-tech manufacturer or high-tech bike producer like the rest. But come on, you know, some of these issues are basics now. Let's go this way. Oh, well done, sir. Well done. Well done. The other a question I ask myself when I'm riding bikes is, how does it make me feel? How does it make me feel? You'll have seen my sort of review of the GS 1300, and it's a fantastic bike. Absolutely 5-star. Tick, 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 tick. Thank you. It just did nothing for me. Just like, oh. Just felt nothing emotional. Nothing. There's no that. Wasn't that visceral enjoyment and excitement that you get with other bikes, you know, like the GT and like others. I'm hoping the Kawasaki I'm going to ride next, wow, 200 horsepower Kawasaki I'm going to ride next gives me a bit more visceral enjoyment. But I think this is just a nice bike. It's a nice, easy to ride. I think that's how I would categorise it. Easy to ride bike, comfortable, big displacement, not a lot of power and torque through the experience. Although this is in sport mode, I really would not want to be riding it in rain or road, you know. But styling, let's give it a mark. Styling, I give it a, you know what, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I think it looks ace. It's really, really ace. I think the history of the bike's interesting, and it's, you know, it's part of the owner experience and the driver experience, or rider experience I should say. It's really easy on, you know, everything's relaxed on the bike. There's nothing which is jerky. The map, you know, the fueling's nice. Yeah, this wouldn't be a bad like second bike. You know, you've done your direct access, you've got your license, you've had a 500-600cc bike, I don't know, a Hornet, a Kawasaki, you know, whatever, and then you think, oh, well, I want a nice cool bike where I look cool when I go down to the pier on a Saturday, Sunday to meet me mates, and we sit there with a pint of Coke and we look at the bikes. Well, I think this is the sort of bike where you go, you know what, it's perfect for that. What's happening here? I can't be arsed waiting for all this. Let's benefit of a bike, you can do this type of stuff. Watching out for the big boys. And let's see what it's like on the motorway. I'll go and give it a bit of a wristful, see what it's like. Sun's low. Again, not forgetting to use the clutch as I did then. Hit the gear selector and nothing happened. It gets there, So what's it, 6th gear. Let's do an overtake. So 65, I want to overtake. How does it pull away? Again, it does it, but as soon as I've twisted the wrist, as they say, I felt like I had a flat, for half a second, a flat spot, which wasn't nice, and then it just pulled. It wasn't a major shove. It's an overtake cars, of course it will, but it's not the GT. It's not the GT. The wind, what I'm doing now, 75 mile an hour. I really can't feel it. I really can't feel it at 75. It's, feel it on the top, above my forehead. So this piece on the front is obviously doing its job. Obviously I can feel it on my arms, but you know, it's not buffeting. It's sort of, it's just cutting through the air quite cleanly for a naked. I've been on other nakeds and it's buffeting from 50, 60 mile an hour. Suspension's quite firm on it. You accelerate and you don't feel as if it's bogging down at the back, and obviously, as I said, this is not an automatic suspension setup, it's not the old ones, but it feels quite compliant. It's on the firmer side rather than the softer side. Yeah, you can sit here all day at 70, 75 mile an hour on the motorway quite comfortably. I'm sure you can get additional bubble screens and sort of wind deflectors for the front. I had a look at the website and there's all sorts of accessories you can buy for these things, most of which are all sort of cosmetic. You can obviously change the exhaust, you can change the panels, the graphics, the mirrors, so you can sort of, you know, tailor it to your own style and taste, I suppose. But yeah, no, back to the marks out of 10. I said very high on the cosmetics. You know, ease to ride, yeah, I've got to give it an 8, 9 out of 10. It'd be easier if you had the auto blipper and quick shifter. Acceleration, I'd got to give it a 5 or 6. It just doesn't have that kick that I was expecting from a 1200cc V-twin. Best slow down, it's average 50 here. Brakes, 5 or 6 out of 10. So yeah, all in all, no, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. But as I said, if you're looking at, like, you know, a second, third bike, you want to go out and do a bit of cruising of a weekend looking cool, it does definitely have curb appeal. There's not many of them around, so I'm sure you'll get some admiring glances and comments. As I said, it does have that pedigree. People know the Indian brand these days. So yeah, depends what you're looking for in a bike. See, I'm turning in now, and this feels, the front just goes very wooden, and I'm having to really push quite firm. Yeah, really firm. I'm pushing down, it's not really having much impact. Right, let's not go back onto the motorway because I don't want to do that, but I want to go back to MCO. Right, so I'm going to switch off here. So yeah, thanks anyway MCO for the test ride. I don't think it's part of my plans moving forward, but as I said, you've got to ride these things before you know whether they're candidates or not. I've enjoyed the little ride. It's given me a good idea what the bike's like, but unfortunately doesn't tick all the boxes. Let's go and see what the Kawasaki H2 SX SE looks like. See you in a second.